We are now joined by Amy Kennedy, who is the Democratic congressional candidate in the 2nd Congressional District. Good to see you, Amy.
Thanks so much, Steve. I appreciate you having me on today.
Let everyone know who's watching us in a multi-state area. The 2nd Congressional District of New Jersey is where?
Oh, it's the bottom third of New Jersey, all of South Jersey. So I'm talking to you today from Atlantic County, but we include Cape May County, a little bit of Ocean, Cumberland, Salem, Gloucester, Camden. So it's 8 counties, parts of 8 counties, and a lot of diversity.
So, Amy, our focus is mostly on issues. It's less on politics and horse race. You're running against the incumbent, Jeff Van Drew, was a Democrat, now is a Republican, a big President Trump supporter. The biggest reason from a public policy point of view that he should be taken out of Congress by you is what?
I think what we've seen in the recent months is just a failure to really bring support that's needed in response to this virus. Things like the stimulus that we know so many people in South Jersey are struggling, and he hasn't been supportive of. But I think in a more broad sense, just a departure from really standing up for South Jersey. I think when he did pledge his undying support to Donald Trump, it felt like he had left a lot of people behind.
It's interesting. By the way, I want to let everyone know we're taping on the 13th of August. This will be seen later. Cross your fingers about that stimulus package. We do not know what is going to happen. And just be clear, only certain things can be done through executive order from the White House. And last time I checked, Congress does control the purse strings. That being said, Amy Kennedy, Jeff Van Drew has said, listen, I didn't leave the party. The Democratic Party left me. It is much farther left, more progressive. And actually, it's not the Democratic Party I signed up for. Isn't that fair?
I think that everybody can really appreciate someone who's independent-minded, and that we are looking for leadership that is perhaps less partisan than what we've seen recently because of the gridlock. But that's not, I think, what was demonstrated in this switch. It was from one side completely to the other, and there was something about it that just did not feel like it was for the best interests of South Jersey, but more self-interest. And I think that's where, he'll struggle to find support for that kind of move.
It's interesting. Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. Donald Trump is very popular in your district. He just is. And I said we wouldn't do politics, but the reality is, from a policy point of view, from a style point of view, I imagine his presidency is popular in the 2nd Congressional District. Doesn't that create a real challenge for you?
I think there's a lot of things that people in South Jersey are really wanting to hear from this president and from leadership. And now is the time to make healthcare a priority. The economy needs to be a focus. And as somebody who's grown up in South Jersey, I think that I'm able to connect with a lot of the concerns that the local people in this district are thinking about.
Go back to the healthcare issue. The Affordable Care Act, still under attack by the Republicans in Congress, by the president. Not perfect, clearly, but what impact would it have on the constituents of the 2nd Congressional District if, in fact, serious changes were made to Obamacare?
Yeah, people are really having a hard time right now. We know that we've got to protect and expand the Affordable Care Act at a time when this country is in the midst of a pandemic. We don't want people to be without life-saving treatment. And, because so much of healthcare is tied to employment, when we have such high rates of unemployment in this district, it's really a struggle for families. I want people to know that their pre-existing conditions will be covered, that any COVID-related treatment is going to be covered, and that they'll be able to, pay for or have the care that they need moving forward.
Let me ask you this in terms of COVID. I'm up here in northern New Jersey, taping from my home. You're in your home down in Atlantic County, correct? Biggest difference in terms of how you believe COVID has affected those of us in the north, particularly in congested areas, and the southern part of the state, clearly less populated and more rural.
Yeah, it's it's still a concern for us because of the tourism industry, especially during the summer. There's a lot of influx of visitors, and we have to be really mindful of the role that that can play, and just continue to ask people to be safe and careful and social distance and do what they can so that we're able to, get on the other side of this and maintain, our ability to flatten the curve in the way that we've done. I think New Jersey is in a better place right now than a lot of other states.
Real quick on this. Several years ago, I interviewed your husband, former Congressman Patrick Kennedy, on the issue of mental health. He has been outspoken, courageous on this issue in terms of describing his own experience. From a congressional perspective, if you were elected to this seat, what would your priority be as it relates to mental health?
Absolutely. For me, it's a top priority. Obviously, we're focused on the virus right now and the economy, but mental health is a big concern, even as it relates to those issues, because anxiety and stress, isolation that's resulted from this time period has led to an uptick in a lot of substance use disorders, suicidal ideation. We know that students in particular are going to face a really difficult time. And that's where my focus has been, and how we can bring those mental health services to young people to get them early interventions, prevention, the things that can build their resiliency and help them when they're struggling so that they'll have successful outcomes.
Got a minute left. Speaking of school-age children, you have 5, do you not?
I do. That's right.
How challenging is it going to be running for the United States Congress if, in fact, they are home and online, learning remotely? What kind of challenge will that create for you and Patrick and your family? Got a minute left.
I think it's the relatable challenge that a lot of women in this country are facing, and families, and men who are also working from home, because it's very difficult to make sure that your kids have what they need. We know it only speaks to the challenge of high quality childcare more broadly, as well as remote learning, and how we can expand the access for remote learning at this time when it's a crucial part of what we're trying to deliver.
I lied. One more quick question. Kamala Harris, the vice presidential pick of presidential candidate on the Democratic side, Joe Biden, from 1 to 10, give her a number.
Oh, 10. We're excited. I mean, of course, I'm really excited that we have a woman on the ticket, and especially one as qualified and just really strong as she is. And so I'm looking forward to being on the ticket with Biden and Harris.
We're taping this out of order, so you will see Jeff Van Drew, Congressman Van Drew, before this, but I assure you I will ask him that same question to give a rating 1 to 10 to Kamala Harris as the vice presidential candidate. Amy Kennedy, I want to thank you for joining us, and we wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate you having me on today.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center, the New Jersey Education Association, Gibbons PC, Operating Engineers, Local 825, NJM Insurance Group, Wells Fargo, the Russell Berry Foundation, Johnson & Johnson, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ and by New Jersey Globe.
In the fabric of America, they are the toughest threads. One of the first things they learned was the code that every service member lives by: leave no one behind. Now all of us need to live by it too, because some veterans are being left behind. 20 of them take their own lives every day. Learn how to be there for a veteran at BeThereForVeterans.com. Honor the code. Be there. Leave no one behind.